Yo, it's me, CSCOTT, baby, and I'm here with my review for the 1976 film, Rocky, starring Sylvester Stallone, Carl Weathers, and it's directed by John G. Avildsen. Now, when you think of a classic film, when you think, like, what classic film, if someone asks you, what kind of classic sports film do you like? You throw out Rocky, right? What's the first classic sports film you can think of? Rocky. It's an underdog story. It's basically Stallone wrote this movie. He wrote the script for this movie, and he was going around and he was busting into people because he needed money. Now that he wanted it, he needed it, and he was busting in. And initially he didn't want to sell it because they didn't want him to star. But the deal was he had to star. He needed the money. He would only sell the script if he could star in it. So we got Rocky, and it's an underdog story about this amateur boxer boxing in little clubs for cheap change, chump change, where like his first take is only $40 after the taxes, like $65, but they take like 15 bucks out of it. I don't know, but yeah, and he gets like $40. And he's when's my next fight? He never knows when his next fight's going to be, when his next paycheck's going to be. And it's sort of a semi-autobiographical, because Stallone at the time didn't know where his next paycheck was going to come from either. And so you get this film, you get Rocky, you get this guy, he lives in Philadelphia, on the hood, so to speak, the rundown part. He works his muscle for a loan shark named Gazzo, and he's got his best friend Paulie, and Paulie's trying to hook him up with his sister Adrian. And the weird thing about that is, like, he's trying to hook him up with his sister. One of my favorite scenes, one of the funniest scenes in this, is the Thanksgiving night. Paulie brings Rocky home for a date with Adrian that she has no idea about. And she tells him, hey, you're going to go out with Rocky. Or he tells her, hey, you're going to go out with Rocky. And she's like, oh, but there's a turkey in the oven. He's like, there's a turkey in the oven. Turkey in the oven. He goes in there, grabs it, blows it out. He goes, you eat the turkey in the other way. And he throws it, but he keeps one piece of it. I always thought that he still has like one piece of the turkey that he's chomping on. He tells him, and how iconic is the ice skating scene where, like, Rocky talks to a friend of his to keep the ice rink open just a little bit longer. So, she's skating, but he's still got shoes on, so he's just kind of going beside her, I love that scene. And, the story here is that world boxing champion Apollo Creed is set for a fight. Big championship match, but his opponent is taken out at the last second. So, he's got to find someone to face him, and he picks Rocky. Rocky's a little iffy at first, but he takes the challenge, and he fights. He gets going. The whole thing about this movie, because I remember when I first watched this several years ago, I was iffy on the ending. Rocky doesn't win. I was like, what's the point of this underdog story? Rocky didn't win. What everybody says this is a great film? He didn't win. How can this movie be any good if he didn't win? I was a fucking idiot back then, in my 20s, not thinking. Now I understand it, all right? It wasn't about the win. It was about going the distance. Rocky went all 12 rounds against Apollo. While he didn't win, he still proved he could go the distance. He wasn't knocked out, he wasn't, barely knocked out. It went to decision, and the decision went to Apollo. Should he have won? If you asked me when I first watched this years ago, yeah. Now, no. Because the point of this movie is not for him to win, it's for him to go to the distance. And he goes the distance. He doesn't have to win for him to know that he went the distance. He knows that he did the best that he could do. And that's what he wanted, best of his abilities. And that's all he wanted to do. And that's what he did, It's like they say in Bedazzle, you go out there and you give 110% and you want to do good and you hope that you do good. And I think we did pretty good out there tonight. That's what he did. He goes the distance, he put out 110%. He hopes he does good and he thinks he does good. He does good, Apollo Creed. This guy is... See, throughout this series, we don't see it's more than just one character that changes. Like this is the Rocky franchise. And while we see the character of Rocky grow, the character of Apollo from film to film also grows. In this one, he's very much the cocky champion who thinks that Rocky is going to be nothing but an easy paycheck for him. Pick up some guy off the streets. Pick up some guy off the streets. And he doesn't get that. He gets someone who's going to go the distance. Like the guy won't stay down. And that's what he gets. It's not what he wanted. That's what he gets. So much that it pushes him to search for a rematch when he says there's not going to be a rematch at the end of the match. But it pushes him into going for a rematch. Because he knows he had him. And he couldn't get him. And the character of Apollo grows until his unfortunate demise in part 4, which we'll get to. But in this film, he's very much the cocky antagonist who thinks that Rocky's going to be a pushover, but he's not. Another thing I want to mention is Paulie. Alright, Paulie helped him with the first part of his training until Mickey finally said, I want to do it. He gets in there and helps him train, more and more. But yet, Paulie's not at ringside. Because, I thought about, Paulie is sitting in the audience with a cigar, sitting there. But he's not. He should be at ringside. In the later ones, he is. But you think he would be at ringside. I don't know if I've ever missed something with that. Why he's not there, I don't know. But and even Gazzo, who's only in this one and a cameo in the second one, because there's a great exchange between him and between Rocky and Mickey when he goes to talk to Mickey because his locker got cleared out. And he's like, oh, whoa, my locker gunning. And he's like, get out of here. You have potential. You could have been a contender. But you said you'd be some leg breaker for some cheap, second-rate loan shark. To live in, it's a waste of life. Very good. And, I mentioned in the review for First Blood, how that speech he makes, I heard my fucking legs. The whole speech he makes at the end of that, just the whole, he has another great kind of breakdown speech in this one. It kind of just goes with that. And it's even more because this actually came first. About how everything. And there's one thing that Stallone is, when he has to, he can put out some pretty good dialogue. Not just, hey, yo, hey, tú, you know what I mean? That's Rocky. But Stallone, especially seeing the Rambo movies, he's more than just the, hey, yo, you know what I mean? When you do an impersonation of Sylvester Stallone, you think Rocky. Hey, yo, you know what I mean? But Stallone is very different from Rocky in the way, hey, I'm going to tell you, I went out there. You give it all you got. You don't stop, you know what I mean? How do you use the 3 seashells? I don't know. Murdoch, I'm coming for you. It's not just a hey yo. So the fact that what he puts into the character of Rocky is enact. And the fact that when people think of a Stallone impression or Stallone in general, they think Rocky. When people impersonate, even myself, do impersonations of Stallone, it's, hey, what you do, you know what I mean? That's Rocky, not Stallone. There's different kinds of Stallones now that I'm seeing this. And that shows you the acting prowess of Stallone. Even in 1976, when we had anything other than that softcore porn that he was in, Night Kitty and Studs, which is later named Italian Stallion. Anyways, I gotta find the Drago one before I do my Stallone collection thing. But overall, Rocky is a classic film that deserves to be, when you think of like some of the greatest films, like The Godfather or Citizen Kane, Psycho, some of the greatest films out there, you think Rocky. And if it wasn't for Stallone insisting that he be the one to play the character along with his script, we probably would have never gotten this. So, with that in mind, I gotta give Rocky a 9 out of 10. It's not like absolutely perfect. I've always thought the first two Rockies were a little bit somewhat boring, but what I thought of the Rocky movies after that, like 3, 4, and I even come to appreciate 5, to some point, because every movie that Stallone does with these Rocky movies, there's something to them. Like, he doesn't just say, oh, I'm going to do another Rocky movie. It's not a cheap money-making scheme. He tries to put what he can into these films. Even Rocky 5. And as I'm going forward in this film, in this review series, I'm going to try to show you what he puts forward, what he's trying to convey. Here, it's very much a story about a man going the distance to prove he can do this. And to me, he does. He proves it 100% to the fact that after he's done, he doesn't care he lost. All he wants is Adrian. He's yelling out, Adrian! Adrian! That's all he wants. He wants to hold his woman in his arms. He wants Adrian. That's all he wants. He doesn't care about the title. He wanted to go the distance. That proves it even more when he's not going, yeah, I should have won or whatever. No, it's, I want Adrian! That's all he wants. 9 out of 10. What are your thoughts on Rocky? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.